Imagine your high school being attacked by a 17-year-old shooter who wants to kill as many people as he can. This has been a problem in the US where there are many people where they want to shoot as many people as they can without thinking about the consequences. Today we're going to be talking about the Never Again movement led by students from the Parkland shooting in hopes to stop mass shootings.
Before we get straight into the topic, after everything we learned, we think that although some people may think that the Never Again movement has been successful, after what we learned, the Never Again movement has not been a success because there are still shootings occurring in the US and there's not been any restriction on gun laws. And that was our thesis. The main reason why it has not been a success is because there are still many mass shootings and school shootings going on in the U.S., and it doesn't seem like that's going to change, since the Congress is filled with mostly Republicans, and the president is not helping either. Even though there are still school shootings, one way that you can point out that the movement has been a little successful is how it's created a bad image towards the NRA. Delta Airlines, Hertz, and MetLife all cut off business ties that they had with the NRA. And also, Dick's Sporting Goods stopped selling assault weapons, which is a pretty good improvement. Even though those improvements are good, they haven't stopped mass shootings from happening, and no big changes have been made. So although you can point out a few successful improvements, the main goal has not been reached.
So now we're going to be talking about the historical background of the movement and the causes. On February 14, 2018, Daniel Cruz walked into Stoneman Douglas High School and killed 17 students and staff and injured 17 more innocent people with a semi-automatic rifle. Before he shot down the school, he took a video of himself stating that he has anger towards people and that he has this specific hatred against his people. The majority of the citizens of the U.S. are feeling rage towards Daniel Cruz, who killed 17 innocent lives and gave an uncountable amount of trauma to high schoolers and parents of the loved ones. And this information was given by Al Jazeera.
Now let me tell you about the key players in the movement. So after the Parkland shooting, some of the students who survived the shooting joined together to create the Never Again movement. These students include David Hogg, Alex Wind, Jacqueline Corin, Emma Gonzalez, and Cameron Kasky, and many other students also. But those are the main ones. These students are all victims of the shooting and were all very affected by it. Instead of just staying sad and mourning forever, they decided to make a change and they took action. Here's a quote from Emma Gonzalez and Cameron Kasky in their article in the New York Times. This is a quote about how they work together, and both Cameron Kasky and Emma Gonzalez talk in it. Quote, "We're strong, but together we're unstoppable," says Kasky. Because David has an amazing composure. He's incredibly politically intelligent. I have a little bit of composure, and Emma beautifully has no composure because she's not trying to hide anything from anybody. Quote, "All these kids are drama kids," quote, "and I've been a drama kid, so it really meshes well," quote, Gonzalez added. As you can see, these students are all very brave and are not afraid to speak out and call out the NRA. This information was given in the article from Kelly Cooper.
So now we're going to be talking about the goals of the movement. The Never Again movement has many goals that would put more restrictions on guns, which could eventually end gun violence, which is their main goal. The Never Again movement is asking for more thorough background checks so that people with criminal reports that they could be a threat can't purchase guns. Another goal of the movement is to pass extreme risk laws, which could allow for someone to report another individual as a threat to themselves or others. The individual who has a threat could get treatment and it could prevent a shooting. The secure storage firearms law is also a goal of the movement. This law makes it so that the gun owners have to keep their guns unloaded and locked when unintended. This could prevent a dangerous individual that knows a gun owner from stealing the gun and using it to harm others. A very important law that could be passed is raising the age of purchasing a gun to 21. This is important because usually when people are 21, they are more mentally stable and are more unlikely to harm others. This information was given by Annie Lanny.
So now that we know the goals of the movement, let me tell you about how the movement has attempted to make progress and achieve those goals. Well, like we mentioned earlier, the Never Again students are very brave, and when the politicians start saying that nothing can be done to prevent these shootings, the students call them liars and are not afraid to speak up against them. The students call the politicians that get funded by the NRA BS, which I'm pretty sure you know what that stands for. The Never Again movement decided that if their movement was going to work, they needed more help and attention, so they joined together with many other anti-gun violence-related movements, including Black Lives Matter, which is another big movement. The Never Again students are very active on social media and like to be interviewed so their opinion is heard. The students get the younger population's attention on social media. The students call out the NRA on live television, which can cause pressure for the NRA and make it have a bad public image. The March for Our Lives movement was heavily promoted on social media and on television, encouraging millions of people to go. The March for Our Lives was successful and was run by the youth and went on in all 50 states, and as you can see in the picture, is going on in Washington. And it also went on 6 different continents. Also, you can see in the image Emma Gonzalez, one of the key leaders, speaking up against the NRA spokeswoman. This information was given to us by the Economist.
So now we're going to be talking about the resistance of the movement. As of now, the Congress being Republican, it makes it very difficult for the Never Again movement to succeed. President Trump is not a big help for the movement either. Usually the Democrat and Republican politicians, after a mass shooting, don't make any changes except for the small gun restrictions that don't have any effect on this movement whatsoever. Another challenge for this movement is that since the leaders are at a young age, they aren't taken as seriously. For example, the politicians and the NRA at first weren't taking these students as serious as at first in the beginning of the movement. These students have proven themselves throughout the movement's timeline, but the things stopping them are age, the NRA, the lawmakers, and Republican politicians. This information was given by Charlotte Alter.
So now we're going to talk about if the movement has been a success or not, and its effects and impacts. The effects of this movement have really made the citizens in the U.S. rage at the gun shooters, and this movement has brought awareness to many of the citizens in the U.S. about gun control. This movement has changed some people's opinions about gun safety, and the impact of this movement is that more people join the movement to help out the students to get through more and more protests as possible. Student public speech became a normal thing after this dreadful event. But so far, we cannot conclude that the movement has been successful. However, it is making some really big progress throughout these years, that more and more people are joining the movement, and more people that joins the movement, the more rage will be effective against the laws and to change the behavior of the NRA and the government. However, it hasn't really stopped mass shootings, and it is still a big problem in the U.S., so it really isn't a success. Their main goal has not been reached, and it looks like it not be reached anytime soon. This information was given by us by Marine Sarfaz.
Now we're going to be talking about analysis of potential future developments or connections with current events. Everyone knows that the coronavirus is giving such a stressful time to us and that the world is focusing on solving this problem as soon as possible. However, the coronavirus has some other positive effects as well. School shooting or gun shooting is currently the biggest problem that the United States is struggling to handle with. However, since there are less people going outdoors and the fact that all schools are closed for a certain amount of time, there were less gun shootings and no school shootings at all in the United States. Since the coronavirus has been exposed to most of the citizens in the United States, the crime rate of the U.S. is decreasing at a rapid pace. The final goal of this movement is to make more strict, harsh laws against gun control and to decrease the crime rate using guns and to stop school shooting in the United States. It's for sure that it will take some time to make this goal into reality. However, being this active in the movement with a lot of people, a lot more people joining the campaign, will be a faster way for them to change the reality that a lot of people are facing, and will be able to achieve their goals of changing the gun control laws and decreasing the crime rates using guns. This information was given by David Meyer.
So now let me tell you guys about the two connections to something we have studied this year. We think that the apartheid and the French Revolution had a deep connection with the Never Again movement. I felt the connection with the apartheid with the Never Again movement was because the apartheid also used a lot of weapons and also guns from the whites that were used to harm people, and without any doubt, a lot of black young kids had to face death just because of their skin color and were shot with a rifle to death. As most of the people know, the French Revolution uses a lot of violence as well as the apartheid along with the Never Again movement. However, unlike the Never Again movement, The French Revolution used a lot of old weapons such as the guillotine. They also used guns, but guns weren't the mostly common thing that they used and throughout that era. I also know that regardless of which type of people, they attacked young people and old people, which I think is connected to the Never Again movement. So in all, these two things that we studied this year are connected to the Never Again movement because of all the violence caused by them, and especially in the apartheid where many children died, like the school shooting.
So now we're going to be talking about the specific current events news item that directly relates to your movement. Since the movement is still ongoing, the movement is technically a current event. Also, due to the fact that there weren't any school shootings in the U.S., we can state that the Never Again movement is still counted as the current event, and that it will remain as a current event in the future until the day that the NRA has made everything clear enough for the people in the society to know how much harm a pistol can cause and a terrible aftermath of the event.
So now let's talk about the conclusion. So after all that me and Andrew have learned, we find that the Never Again movement was overall unsuccessful due to the fact that there are still many mass shootings going on and there has not been many restrictions put on guns. However, it has been very tough for these students to make progress, but they have still surprised many people with their passion and will not to give up. It may take some time, but if these students keep on pushing, this movement in the U.S. could possibly see some gun laws restrictions made, which would make a huge difference. However, for now, so far, it has not been successful, and we are still waiting to see what these kids do after the coronavirus.